The holographic display flickered to life in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, casting blue light across the assembled delegates. Ambassador Kevvar of the Zelthrian Empire leaned forward in his crystalline chair, his four eyes gleaming with barely contained amusement. The image rotating before them showed a small blue planet, unremarkable except for the primitive electromagnetic signals emanating from its surface. Earth, he announced, his voice carrying the melodic tones that had made the Zelthrians natural diplomats for 3 millennia. The third planet in what these creatures call the Sol System. We have been monitoring their development for precisely 47 standard years. A ripple of laughter echoed through the chamber. The Andromedan representative, her scaled features shifting colors with her emotions, spoke first. 47 years, and they still haven't achieved faster-than-light travel? My hatchlings accomplished more in their first molting season. Perhaps we should send them a care package, suggested the Nexari delegate, his gaseous form pulsing with what his species consider humor. Some basic physics text, maybe instructions for building a proper starship. Kevvar raised one of his 4 hands, calling for attention. The situation is more amusing than you realize. We have sent 17 formal invitations to join galactic civilization. 17, each one transmitted directly to their most powerful governments, translated into their dominant languages, with detailed instructions for response. And their reply, asked the Andromedan. Complete silence. The chamber erupted in laughter again. Not a single acknowledgement. They continue broadcasting their primitive entertainment signals and conducting their crude nuclear tests as if the entire galaxy doesn't exist. The massive view screen shifted to show intercepted human transmissions. Images of their wars, their art, their music flickered past. The delegates watched with the condescending fascination of adults observing children playing with wooden blocks. They call themselves a dominant species, Kevvar continued, yet they cannot even unite their own planet. Currently, they have 195 separate governmental entities, each claiming sovereignty over arbitrary patches of land. They fight over resources that exist in abundance throughout the galaxy. The Vorthak representative, a being of pure energy contained within a mechanical shell, spoke in electronic tones. Their mathematics are adequate. Their physics, while primitive, show potential. Why do they not respond to our communications? Pride, declared the Andromedan. They believe themselves important. They cannot conceive that more advanced civilizations might exist. Or perhaps, suggested the Nexari, they are simply too primitive to understand our messages. Kevvar manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on Earth's major population centers. Our xenobiologists have studied their behavioral patterns extensively. They are a young species, barely 10,000 years removed from hunter-gatherer societies. They show classic signs of civilizational immaturity, territorial aggression, resource hoarding, and inability to think beyond their immediate star system. What do you propose? Asked the Vorthak. The Galactic Council has 3 options. Kevvar's voice took on a formal tone. First, we continue our current policy of patient observation, hoping it will eventually develop the wisdom to join galactic society. How long might that take? The Andromedan asked. Conservative estimates suggest another 1,000 years. Optimistic projections indicate 500. The chamber fell silent, except for the low hum of the station's life support systems. Even the most patient species found such timescales daunting. Second option, Kevvar continued. We can initiate direct contact, land ships in their major cities, demand an audience with their leaders, force them to acknowledge our existence. That would violate the Prime Directive, the Vorthak observed. No interference with developing civilizations. Indeed, which brings us to the third option. Kevvar paused dramatically. We declare Earth a protectorate. Their solar system contains 3 habitable worlds after terraforming 17 mineral-rich asteroids and a star perfect for quantum energy harvesting. We relocate the human population to a suitable planet in the outer rim, preserve their culture in a controlled environment, and claim Sol System for the greater good of galactic civilization. The chamber buzzed with excited conversation. The Andromedan delegate scales shifted to a pleased golden hue. The outer rim has several suitable worlds. We could give them an entire planet, larger than Earth, with more favorable climate conditions. They would never know the difference, agreed the Nexery. To them, it would seem like paradise. And Sol System would finally serve its proper purpose, added the Vorthak. The energy output alone could power a dozen major civilizations. Kethvar smiled, revealing teeth that gleamed like polished metal. I have already prepared the necessary documentation. The legal framework is sound. Under galactic law, any species that fails to respond to formal contact within 50 standard years forfeits any claim to territorial sovereignty. How long until the deadline? Asked the Andromedan. 3 years, 2 months, 16 days. The chamber erupted in approving sounds from a dozen different species. The Galactic Council, representing 47 civilizations spanning 3 galaxy arms, had reached consensus. Earth would be claimed, its population relocated, its resources harvested for the greater good of galactic civilization. None of them noticed the small sensor probe that had been watching from the shadows of the station's outer hull. None of them detected the quantum communication burst that transmitted their entire conversation across the galaxy at speeds that should have been impossible. And none of them suspected that on a small blue planet in the Sol System, the transmission was being received by minds that had been waiting 47 years for exactly this moment. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the massive tactical display in the command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the Colorado Mountains. The holographic star map showed the galaxy in perfect detail, with red markers indicating positions of every major alien civilization. Her weathered hands, steady despite her 73 years, manipulated the controls with practiced efficiency. "Play it again," she commanded. The alien voices filled the chamber, translated by quantum processors that have been analyzing galactic languages for nearly 5 decades. Ambassador Kethvar's smug declaration echoed off the reinforced walls. Complete silence, not a single acknowledgement. "Arrogant bastards," muttered General Harrison, his scarred face twisted with anger. 47 years of condescending invitations, and they think we're too primitive to understand. "Let them think it," Chin replied, her voice carrying the calm authority that had made her the youngest admiral in human history. "Their arrogance is our greatest weapon." The display shifted to show Earth's actual technological capabilities. Hidden bases on the dark side of the moon, massive shipyards in the asteroid belt, quantum communication networks that span the solar system, research stations that have been studying captured alien technology for 2 generations. Status report, Chin ordered. Dr. Elizabeth Vasquez, the director of the Prometheus project, stepped forward. Her eyes held the intense focus of someone who had dedicated her life to a single purpose. "The fleet is ready, Admiral. 6,000 ships across 12 different classes. Our stealth technology is 3 generations ahead of their most advanced sensors. Weapons systems? Fully integrated. The quantum torpedoes tested at 97% efficiency. The gravitational pulse cannons exceeded all projections. And the new singularity mines." She paused, her expression troubled. "They're devastating enough to crack a planet's crust. Personnel? Every ship is crewed by volunteers. 2 million of Earth's best and brightest, all sworn to absolute secrecy." General Harrison's voice carried pride mixed with sorrow. "They know this might be a one-way mission." Chin nodded grimly. The Prometheus project had been humanity's greatest undertaking, consuming resources from every nation on Earth. When the first alien transmission arrived 47 years ago, world leaders had made a decision that would have seemed impossible just decades earlier. Absolute unity in the face of an existential threat. "They think we're children playing with wooden blocks," Chin said, watching the star map rotate slowly. "They've been studying us like insects in a jar, never realizing that insects can bite." The door to the command center hissed open, and President Martinez entered with her security detail. Despite the early hour, she was impeccably dressed, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun. At 68, she had been elected specifically to oversee humanity's response to the alien threat. "The Security Council has reached a decision," she announced. "Operation Prometheus is authorized. You have complete strategic autonomy. Admiral." "Thank you, Madam President." Chen's voice betrayed no emotion, but her hands trembled slightly. "When do we begin?" "Now." Martinez moved to the tactical display, her fingers tracing the path to the Galactic Council station. "They've given us 3 years to respond. We'll give them something they'll never forget." Dr. Vasquez activated a new display showing the completed fleet. The ships were sleek, predatory, built for speed and stealth. Unlike the ornate vessels favored by galactic civilizations, human ships were purely functional, weapons designed to kill efficiently and without mercy. "The Zelfrians think they're natural diplomats," General Harrison observed. "They've never fought a war. Neither have the Andromedans or the Nexari. They've had peace for so long, they've forgotten how to recognize a threat." "But we haven't," Jim replied. "We've been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We know exactly how to destroy civilizations." The command center fell silent as the implication sank in. Humanity had been given the galaxy's assessment: primitive, aggressive, territorial. They had been right about all of it, except for the primitive part. "Launch sequence initiation in T-minus 60 minutes, announced the AI system. All personnel to battle stations." Chin looked around the room at the faces of people who had dedicated their lives to this moment. Scientists who had solved impossible problems. Soldiers who had trained for battles that might never come. Politicians who had united a fractured world in the face of alien contempt. "They mocked our silence," she said quietly. "They thought it meant weakness. They never considered that we might be listening, learning, preparing." President Martinez placed a hand on Chen's shoulder. "The galaxy is about to learn what human silence really means." "Orders, Admiral?" asked General Harrison. Chen turned to face the tactical display one final time. The alien civilizations glowed confidently in their scattered star systems, secure in their technological superiority and their assumption of human primitiveness. They had no idea that death was already traveling toward them at impossible speeds. "Signal the fleet," she commanded. "Today, we teach the galaxy that Earth's silence was never submission. It was the quiet before the storm." The massive display shifted to show the launch sequence beginning across the solar system. From hidden bases on Mars, from asteroid facilities, from the dark side of the moon, humanity's greatest achievement began its journey toward the stars. The galaxy had mocked Earth's silence. Now they would learn what humanity's voice truly sounded like when it finally chose to speak. The first sign of the approaching storm came as a whisper in the quantum foam, detected by the Vorthack's most sensitive instruments. Energy signatures that shouldn't exist, moving at velocities that violated known physics. The mechanical being that served as the Vorthack's chief scientist processed the data with growing alarm. "Impossible!" It transmitted to the Galactic Council station. The readings indicate massive objects traveling at 97% light speed. Nothing that large should be capable of such velocity. Ambassador Kefvar reviewed the data with 2 of his 4 eyes, while the other pair monitored the routine council proceedings. The Andromedans were presenting their latest cultural exchange proposals, completely unaware of the anomalous readings streaming across the network. "System malfunction," Kefvar declared dismissively. "Recalibrate your sensors." The humans barely have chemical rockets. But the Vorthack's instruments were not malfunctioning. Across the galaxy, other civilizations began detecting the same impossible signatures. The Nexari's gas giant monitoring stations registered gravitational distortions that suggested massive objects moving in perfect formation. The Andromedans' deep space telescopes captured brief glimpses of something vast and dark against the stars. Council emergency session transmitted the Vorthack, all delegates to immediate assembly. The chamber filled with confused voices as representatives from 47 civilizations tried to understand what they were seeing. The holographic displays showed a galaxy-wide phenomenon. Thousands of objects moving in coordinated patterns, heading directly toward major population centers. "The trajectory calculations are precise," reported the Nexari delegate, his gaseous form pulsing with agitation. "Whatever these objects are, they're targeting our homeworlds, our colonies, our major installations." "Impossible," Kefvar insisted. "No civilization possesses such capabilities. The energy requirements alone would exceed the output of a dozen stars." The Vorthack's electronic voice carried notes of growing panic. The objects are decelerating. They will reach the outer rim territories in 6 standard hours. Natural phenomenon, declared the Andromedan. Perhaps a previously unknown type of cosmic event. Natural phenomena don't move in perfect military formations. The Vorthak replied coldly. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The objects weren't random cosmic events. They were ships, thousands of them, and they were heading directly toward every major civilization in the galaxy. Who could possess such technology? Whispered the Nexary. The Elders, suggested the Andromedan. Perhaps they returned from the galactic core. The Elders departed this galaxy 3 million years ago. The Vorthak responded. Their technology signature is completely different. Kethvar manipulated the tactical display, zooming in on the approaching formations. The objects were still too distant for detailed analysis, but their movement patterns suggested military precision that exceeded even the most advanced galactic civilizations. Emergency protocols, he announced. All council members are to alert their homeworlds immediately. Deploy defensive fleets to intercept these objects. Intercept them with what? The Vorthak asked. Our fastest ships achieve 0.7 light speed. These objects are moving at near-light velocity and maintaining perfect formation. The first contact came at the edge of Zelthrian space. The Empire's border patrol consisted of 3 heavy cruisers and a dozen scout ships, their crews confident in their technological superiority. They had never encountered a threat that their quantum shields couldn't deflect or their plasma cannons couldn't destroy. The human ships appeared on their sensors like ghosts materializing from the void, sleek, predatory vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with fluid grace, their formations shifting like schools of hunting fish. Unknown vessels, transmitted Captain Zalthek of the Zelthrian flagship. You have entered sovereign space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. The response came in perfect Zelthrian, spoken with an accent that somehow made the language sound threatening. We are the Earth Defense Force. We have received your invitation to join galactic civilization. We accept. Earth. Zalthek's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. The primitive world in the Sol system? This is impossible. You lack the technology for interstellar travel. We have been studying your technology for 47 years, the human voice replied. We have learned much. The human ships moved closer, and the Zelthrian sensors finally got clear readings. The vessels were massive, each one larger than a Zelthrian dreadnought, covered in weapon systems that defied classification, energy signatures that suggested power sources beyond galactic understanding. This is Captain Sarachin of the Earth vessel Prometheus. The transmission continued. We come in response to your council's decision to relocate our species. We wish to discuss this matter in person. You heard our discussions? Zalthek stammered. We have been listening for 47 years, Chin replied. We found your conversations quite illuminating. The Zelthrian captain's training kicked in, overriding his shock. You will halt your advance and submit to escort. Any deviation from approved courses will be considered an act of aggression. Captain, Chen's voice carried amusement that chilled the Zelthrian crew. We are not requesting permission. We are informing you of our intentions. The human ships accelerated past the Zelthrian patrol as if they were standing still. The Empire's most advanced vessels, pride of a civilization that had ruled space for 3 millennia, were left behind like children's toys. All ships, fire at will. Zalthek commanded. The Zelthrian plasma cannons erupted in brilliant displays of energy that could vaporize asteroids. The quantum torpedoes streaked toward the human vessels with enough force to crack planetary shields. The concentrated firepower of 3 heavy cruisers struck the rear guard of the human formation and accomplished absolutely nothing. The human ships continued their advance, their hulls unmarked by weapons that should have reduced them to cosmic dust. Whatever technology they possessed, it was so far beyond galactic understanding that the Empire's most powerful weapons were merely light shows. Impossible, Zalthek whispered. Captain, Chen's voice carried across the void with terrifying calm. You fired on us. In human culture, that is considered an act of war. The human ships began to turn, their movements precise and deadly. For the first time in 3,000 years, Zelthrian warriors felt the cold touch of fear. "We were wrong about you," Zolthek transmitted desperately. "We apologize. We withdraw our territorial claims." "We?" "Too late," Chin replied. The human weapons fired. The Galactic Council station shuddered as emergency transmissions flooded the communication networks. Reports of impossible human ships destroying entire fleets with weapons that made galactic technology look like primitive clubs. The civilizations that had mocked Earth's silence were now screaming in terror. "Zelthrian border fleet destroyed," reported the Vorthak, his electronic voice stripped of all emotion. "No survivors. 3 heavy cruisers and 12 scout ships eliminated in 47 seconds. Andromedan colony ships vaporized," added the Nexary, his gaseous form flickering with distress. 17 vessels carrying 3 million civilians. Gone. Ambassador Kevvar watched the tactical display with growing horror. Red markers indicated destroyed fleets, fallen colonies, and communication blackouts across the galaxy. The humans weren't just attacking military targets. They were systematically dismantling galactic civilization. "How many ships?" he asked. "Current estimates indicate 6,000 vessels," the Vorthak replied. "Each one appears to be the equivalent of a galactic dreadnought. They're attacking simultaneously across 47 star systems." "Impossible," Kevvar breathed. "No civilization possesses such production capabilities." "The humans do," came a new voice. The council chamber fell silent as a holographic figure materialized in the center of the room. Admiral Sarachin stood before them, her aged face carved with determination and fury. She wore a simple military uniform that somehow seemed more threatening than the ornate regalia of galactic commanders. "Admiral Chun," Kevvar managed, his melodic voice cracking with strain. We demand an explanation for these unprovoked attacks." "Unprovoked?" Chen's laugh was devoid of humor. "You declared war on us 47 years ago. You've been studying us like laboratory specimens. You voted to relocate our entire species. And you call our response unprovoked. We offered you paradise," the Andromedan delegate protested, her scales shifting to defensive patterns. "A world larger than Earth, with perfect climate conditions. After stealing our home," Chin replied coldly. "After treating us like inferior beings who didn't deserve basic respect." "Your species is primitive," Kevvar insisted. "You haven't achieved faster-than-light travel. You fight among yourselves." "You!" "We fight among ourselves," Chin interrupted, "because we understand warfare. You've had peace for so long, you've forgotten that some problems can only be solved through violence." The tactical display shifted to show the human fleet's current positions. They had penetrated deep into galactic space, their formation surrounding major population centers like predators circling prey. "What do you want?" asked the Nexary. "Justice," Chin replied. "For 47 years, you've treated us with contempt. You've mocked our silence. You've planned our destruction. Now you face the consequences." "We can negotiate," Kevvar said desperately. "Reparations, territory, advanced technology, whatever you desire." "What we desire," Chin said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority, "is for you to understand exactly what human silence really meant." The display changed to show Earth's hidden infrastructure. Massive shipyards that dwarf galactic facilities. Research stations that have been analyzing alien technology for decades. Military installations that could launch fleets capable of conquering entire star systems. "You thought our silence meant ignorance," Chin continued. "You never considered that we might be listening, learning, preparing. You broadcast your communications across the galaxy without encryption, never suspecting that a primitive species might be intercepting them. For 47 years, the Vorthak said, understanding dawning in his electronic voice, you've been preparing for this moment. Every human government united for a single purpose," Chin confirmed. "Every resource dedicated to understanding your weaknesses. Every brilliant mind focused on building the weapons necessary to destroy you." "You're making a mistake," Kevvar protested. "The galaxy is vast. There are civilizations you haven't encountered. Powers that will what?" Chen's smile was predatory. Come to your rescue? We've been monitoring the entire galaxy. We know exactly who has what capabilities. Your most advanced civilizations are already burning. New reports flooded the communication networks. The Nexury homeworld's orbital defenses had been eliminated. The Vorthax manufacturing centers were under attack. The Andromedans' core territories were being systematically destroyed. You studied us, Chen said, watching the displays with satisfaction. You learned that humans are territorial, aggressive, and incapable of unity. You were right about the first two. You were catastrophically wrong about the third. Please, the Andromedan delegate begged. We have families, children, innocent civilians who never voted for relocation decision. Did you consider our families when you voted to relocate us? Chen's voice carried a fury that had been building for 47 years. Did you think about human children when you planned to steal our world? We made a mistake, Kethvar admitted. We apologize. We withdraw all claims to your system. Too late, Chen replied, echoing the words she had spoken to the Zelthrian captain. You had 47 years to treat us with respect. You chose mockery instead. The tactical displays showed human fleets converging on the Council Station itself. Thousands of ships that shouldn't exist, crewed by beings who had spent their lives preparing for this moment. You mocked Earth's silence, Chen said as the Council Chamber's emergency lights began flashing. Now you'll learn what happens when Earth finally decides to speak. The transmission ended, leaving the Galactic representatives alone with their terror and the approaching sound of humanity's voice, expressed in the language of war. The Galactic Council Station's shields flickered and died as a human fleet surrounded it like a wolf pack circling wounded prey. Admiral Chen's flagship, the Prometheus, dwarfed the ancient station that had once been the symbol of galactic unity. Now it would witness the galaxy's final transformation. Shields down, reported Commander Torres from the tactical station. The station is defenseless. As it should be, Chen replied, her eyes fixed on the massive view screen showing the alien structure. Open a channel to all galactic networks. Maximum broadcast power. The screen flickered to life, showing the faces of the alien delegates huddled in their council chamber. Their expressions ranged from terror to desperate hope as they realized they were about to address the entire galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy, Chen began, her voice carrying across space to billions of alien worlds. For 47 years, your leaders have known about humanity. They have studied us, mocked us, and finally voted to destroy us. Today, you learn the price of their arrogance. She gestured to the tactical display. Your most advanced civilizations are already falling. The Zelthrian Empire, which ruled space for 3 millennia, has been reduced to scattered refugees. The Andromedan colonies, once the pride of the Outer Rim, are burning. The Vorthax manufacturing centers, which supplied half the galaxy, are silent forever. Please, Ambassador Kethvar interrupted, his 4 eyes streaming with tears. We surrender. Complete surrender. We'll accept any terms. Surrender? Chen's laugh was bitter. You don't understand. This isn't about conquest. This is about teaching the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. The view screen split to show scenes from across the galaxy. Human ships systematically destroying military installations, industrial centers, and government facilities. The beings who had once mocked Earth's silence were now crying out in desperation. You called us primitive, Chen continued. You said we couldn't achieve faster-than-light travel. You were wrong. We've been traveling between stars for 30 years, using technology reverse-engineered from your own communications. You said we were too aggressive to join galactic civilization. You were right. We are aggressive. We're territorial. We're violent. And we never forget an insult. Dr. Vasquez approached the Admiral's chair. Ma'am, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different civilizations. They're offering tribute, territory, complete submission. Noted. Chen replied without emotion. Continue the operation. Admiral, Kethvar pleaded, what do you want from us? Name your terms. We'll do anything. What I want, Chen said, turning to face the alien delegates, is for you to understand that humanity's silence was never weakness. It was patience. We were waiting for the right moment to show you who we really are. The tactical display showed the full scope of a human operation. 6,000 ships had struck simultaneously across the galaxy, their targets chosen with surgical precision. Every major military installation, every government center, every symbol of galactic power was being systematically destroyed. You studied our psychology, Chin continued. You learned that humans are tribal, that we fight among ourselves, that we're incapable of true unity. You were right about all of it, except for one crucial detail. She stood, her weathered face hard as stone. When threatened with extinction, humans become the most dangerous predators in the universe. We unite, we plan, we strike without mercy. But why? The Andromedan delegate sobbed. We offered you paradise, a better world than Earth. Because it wasn't your decision to make, Chin replied. You had no right to judge us, no right to relocate us, no right to treat us like inferior beings who needed your guidance. Commander Torres looked up from his station. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the galactic core. Something's coming. Chin nodded grimly. The Elders? I was wondering when they'd return. The view screen shifted to show the approaching vessels, ships that dwarfed even a human fleet, their hulls covered in technology that predated galactic civilization. The beings who had left the galaxy 3 million years ago had returned to witness its transformation. You see, Kefvar said desperately, the Elders will stop you. They'll restore order. The Elders, Chin replied calmly, are the ones who taught us how to build our ships. The silence that followed was deafening. The galactic delegate stared in shock as the implication sank in. Impossible, the Vorthak whispered. We found their ruins on Mars, Chin explained. Ancient bases, hidden beneath the polar ice caps. They'd been watching her for millions of years, waiting for a species worthy of their knowledge. When the first alien transmissions arrived, we followed protocols they had left behind. We learned their technology. We built their ships. We became their inheritors. The Elder vessels took positions around the human fleet, their ancient hulls gleaming with renewed purpose. A new voice joined the transmission, speaking in harmonics that predated known language. The children of Earth have proven themselves worthy, the Elder said. The galaxy will be reborn under their guidance. Chen turned back to the alien delegates. You had 47 years to treat us with respect. You chose mockery instead. Now you face the consequences. What happens to us? Kefvar asked. You survive, Chen replied. You rebuild. You learn. And you remember that Earth's silence was never submission. It was the quiet before the storm. The human fleet began to withdraw, their mission complete. The galaxy lay broken but not destroyed, its civilizations humbled but not extinct. They would rebuild, but they would never again mistake human silence for weakness. As the Prometheus turned toward home, Chen looked out at the stars that had once seemed so distant. The galaxy had mocked Earth's silence. Now they would spend generations learning to respect humanity's voice. The lesson was complete. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth had finally spoken, and the universe had listened.